Brilliance Audio presents Betrayal by Danielle Steele, performed by Renee Rodman. The two men who lay parched in the blistering sun of the desert were so still they barely seemed alive. There had been shattering explosions in the distance earlier, and one of them was covered with blood. Although they had been enemies, one of them now held the other's hand as the life-blood trickled from him. They looked at each other one last time, and then the injured man gave his last breath and died, just as there was the cracking sound of a gunshot nearby. The survivor of the pair looked wide-eyed and terrified as the man who had fired the gun appeared from behind them, seemingly out of nowhere, as though he had dropped from the sky like an avenging angel. "Cut! And print!" A voice rang out in the stillness, and within seconds, everything was action. A flock of men with cameras and equipment entered the scene. The dead man stood up as the blood ran down his neck, and a production assistant rushed up to him with a cold drink, and he guzzled it gratefully. The man who had been holding his hand an instant before walked off the set to get something to eat as soon as he was told that they were finished shooting for the day. 24 people were talking, shouting, and laughing, and a tall, thin blonde woman in ragged cut-off denim shorts, high-top sneakers, and a torn man's undershirt conferred with the camera crew with an enormous grin on her face. Despite her fair coloring, she had a deep honey tan from being outdoors and a mass of long, uncombed blonde hair piled up on her head. A moment later, she braided it into a disheveled pigtail and helped herself to a bottle of icy water as someone passed them out. There was an enormous catering truck nearby, and a still photographer shot the actors as they left the set. 4 of Hollywood's biggest stars were in the film, which was always the case on her pictures. "It's going to be the best scene in the movie," the blonde woman assured the head cameraman as people came and went around them and checked with her, and the sound technician confirmed that he was happy with the scene too. Everything had gone smoothly. The Sandman was going to be her best movie yet. They were making her new film, sure to be an instant hit, like all the others Tally Jones had made. Her films were box office gold. She had been nominated for 2 Oscars and 6 Golden Globes. There were 2 Golden Globes on her desk, but no Oscars so far. And her pictures were an enormous success because she included both the kind of intense action men wanted in a film, just enough violence to suit their bloodlust without exploiting it excessively, and the sensitivity and emotional insights that made her films appealing to women. She offered the best of both worlds. Tally had a Midas touch. At 39, she had been directing movies for 17 years, and she hadn't made a lemon yet. There was already a smell of victory on the set, and Tally looked happy as she walked to the trailer that was her office on location with her dog-eared copy of the script under her arm. It included all the changes that the screenwriters had made the night before. Tally was always honing and fine-tuning. She was a perfectionist, and people who worked with her accused her of micromanaging, but it was worth it. She turned her BlackBerry on as she walked into the air-conditioned trailer and saw that she had 2 messages from her daughter, who was a freshman in college at NYU in New York, studying pre-law. Maxine, or Max as they called her, had no interest whatsoever in a career in films, only the law. She wanted to be a lawyer, like her grandfather, Tally's father, Sam Jones. He was Tally and Max's hero, and they were the only 2 women in his life. Tally's mother had died of leukemia when Tally was in high school, and her father had been supportive of everything she did. Tally had taken him to the Oscars with her as her escort when she was nominated, and he was fiercely proud and protective of her. It was Tally's mother who had made her fall in love with movies. She had taken her to every imaginable movie as a child, watched every classic with her, and was fascinated with films and actors herself. She had named Tally Tallulah after Tallulah Bankhead, who she thought was the most glamorous woman who had ever lived. Tally had always hated her name and shortened it to something she could live with, but she had loved every film she'd ever seen with her mother, who had wanted desperately to be an actress and wanted her daughter to fulfill her dreams.